All right, folks, not only is Ripple growing, but XRP is the game changer that is giving these clients a competitive advantage when it comes to offering payments and services to their clients. We're actually going to listen to the biggest fan of ODL from Bitso and the progress that they're making over there, along with taking an updated look at the tally as far as how much we're doing in settlements with the Ripple payments. And so really excited to bring this update to you guys. I'm going to try to run through this really quick. I stayed up late last night preparing this show, and then at about 11 o'clock at night, I get a text from wifey, "Are you going to be in your office all night long?" And I figured, okay, maybe it's time to go to bed. So I got a lot to cover. We were ready to cover the markets last night, but thankfully I'm coming here this morning here with you guys on Wednesday. Today's date is October 18th, 2023, right in the middle of an October month that's brought in volatility, bringing in a little bit of sacrifice. Let's stay prepared and understand that it's going to be continuing to get volatile from here on out. This thing's not going to cool down anytime. And we want to make sure that we're prepared. So I'm going to cover everything from the current events, how that's impacting the broader markets, taking a look at our economic data. The devil's in the details, unfortunately, for America and the middle class and Main Street that's actually getting squeezed out. But Bidenomic headlines from the White House will tell you that everything's rosy, everything's good, as Biden touches down in Tel Aviv, Israel today to meet with Netanyahu as we're in the middle of this world war, taking it back home. And then we're going to wrap it up with the crypto update for you guys as well. And my good friend Steven Narioff, the Ethereum whistleblower, is still sounding off, and I absolutely love to see it. And we got tweets last night. It was Steven Narioff, and then it was Truth Labs. Boring Sleuth, I think, is his handle on Twitter. Another one of the OG sleuths in the community. It was like 11 o'clock last night, like I was saying, and they're putting out tweets. And I'm putting together my show, and I'm just saying, this is why we are so over the target, is our community. Middle of the night, we got sleuths, we got folks, content creators, still working, still putting this thing together, and we're still going to be applying pressure. Now, I found it interesting. I retweeted Steven Narioff, and I retweeted Boring Sleuth, Truth Labs, and both of those tweets were way throttled down. So, there's a reason why we still don't have DAI on Twitter. I'm trying to be careful, but we're also trying to expose the corruption and get to the truth, and we need to save our country. So that's why we do what we do. I'm going to run through this real quick. Make sure that you guys are staying tuned here by subscribing, hitting that notification bell. We don't want to miss any of our content, and everything else can be found on my website, ZachRector.com. The markets were up last night when I was getting ready to record this. Today, here this morning, we're falling off 28,247. And last night, Bitcoin actually did run up. Like I said, right when I was getting ready to record, 28.8 is where we went up to. So good thing I didn't record then. Good thing I didn't call it a pump because we did fall back off. And we see crypto falling back off here today, down about basically 0.70 basis points. 48.78, back below 49 cents for XRP. That hurts. Ethereum back to 1570. We're seeing it get cleaned on out. And we take a look here. Oil climbing today off of the news that we got the big blast yesterday, and Iran reportedly calling for Israel oil embargo. Like I said, Biden touching down in Tel Aviv, Israel today. Oil climbing back up. Let's take a look at it. DXY up slightly. Okay, the stocks are all falling off. Nvidia continues its fall, and I'm going to do a quick little deep dive on Nvidia. It really showcases the AI hype. The magnificent seven, as they're called in the S&P 500, the 7 tech stocks that have kept up the whole index, right? I'm going to cover Nvidia here real quick for you guys. Tesla back down 3%. Gold woke up in the middle of the night last night, though. We were in the middle of a gold and a silver rally. Silver has cooled back off this morning since opening, down about 43 basis points, back slightly below $23 per ounce. But last night, it had got all the way up. It was all the way up above $23 per ounce for your silver. And then gold continues the rally here today. So gold continues moving up. Crude oil here, this is the U.S. crude oil derivative, is trading at about $88 per barrel. But then if you go to Brent crude oil, which is the world benchmark for oil, probably a better gauge because the U.S. is rigged, right? $91 for the Brent crude oil, and it's getting ready to move up, back up 1.35% today. Okay. But like I said, yesterday, Nvidia stock is down 7.5% as President Biden restricts AI chip sales to China. So this was announced yesterday. Nvidia stock 7.5% on the day and continues falling this morning. The stock has erased nearly $100 billion in value in just over 24 hours. I'm sure it's more now. We now have multiple wars around the world, the beginning of a new trade war in China, the least affordable housing market in history, and the 30-year Treasury was back above 5% today, and that's going to carry the 10-year, and that's going to carry the mortgage interest rates, which, yeah, I mean, we're going to be seeing 10% mortgage rates here before long if this continues. Oil prices back above $90 a barrel. How is inflation supposed to hit 2%? Never was. The 2% target is a myth, a facade, a pipe dream. And let's deep dive this real quick. So we're still seeing the AI hype coming out of these folks. So ARK, this is Cathie Wood with her ARK Innovation, trust in the company and the Bitcoin ETF that she's trying to get approved. And she's really lost a lot of wind is, falling out of her sail. And she's still trying to keep it alive, though. This is, typical talk in their book. In August, for every dollar spent on AI hardware, $8 is generated in AI software. So for every dollar, you get $8 out in AI software. Okay. AI hype, sure. Okay. But now the story is that for every dollar spent on AI hardware, $20 is generated in AI software. That was fast. That was fast until the Biden administration came in and banned sales to China. Now the Nvidia stock is down 7.5% yesterday, down further today. The all-time high was $502 in August, back when these types of narratives were really, getting spread, and they continue to get spread. But I'm going to show you guys the chart here. It's a classic head and shoulders. And I asked AI hype anyone? And we take a look here at the charts on Nvidia. Classic head and shoulders right here. Okay, forming this right shoulder and falling off here. We already did clean out almost 20%. So Nvidia has almost crashed. We've almost, entered a technical, retracement, recession level contraction for Nvidia. 20% correction. That's a crash, technical crash. And then we see here, did get a little bit of a bull trap rally leading up here into this month. And that was basically through last week. Last week, it was a good week for Nvidia. But now, and sure enough, Cathie Wood was making her rounds last week, pumping it up. And now it falls back off here again. And like I said, that candle right there was yesterday, down almost 8% yesterday and down even further here today. So we're watching this move essentially since the announcement from Biden administration. That's showing 6%, but that's, it's well over 6%, and should actually be more. I think this chart's off 423. I don't know if that's pulling the current data. 423. Yeah. Anyways, it was down at one point 7.85% yesterday, and now this whole narrative is cracking. This whole narrative is cracking for the AI tech stocks, and the equities have been lagging, right? That's coming to an end right now. The war is going to be inflationary for some, but the war is, really squeezing the liquidity out of the high-flying speculative plays. That's the problem. The military-industrial complex stocks are pumping. The treasuries are moving back up. The DXY's back up, flight back to cash, flight back to safety, right? But that's not going to last. And I found this interesting tweet here from Finance Lot. And I'm going to share this one here with you guys in a second. But to bring home my point on Nvidia, the Magnificent Seven, including Nvidia and the other tech stocks that we're watching, they are the 7 tech stocks within the S&P 500 that have kept the whole market up. If you look at the 493 other stocks, they're only up like 4% on the year, barely anything. And at 4% returns, you're not even matching inflation, right? So we have to understand this new dynamic is here, where the AI, the hype, that's all was a facade to begin with. Is there real tech there? Is there real innovation? Of course. But just like we've seen in crypto, right? We're seeing with the tech stocks. And I find it funny that crypto has to take the beating. We have to be the bad guys, the dog and pony show, get drug out here and embarrassed, when the same type of manipulation and hype and facades and fake stories that are BS are getting perpetuated in with the stocks and the equity market as well. But crypto's the bad guys, crypto's the clowns, crypto's the joke, crypto's the frauds, when the same crap's going on over there. But if we're going to talk about frauds, if we're going to talk about corruption, we couldn't have that conversation without bringing out one of the biggest frauds, which is the U.S. Treasuries. Now, for many, this is a flight to safety, and for some reason, they trust the U.S. government. But I found this tweet interesting here from Finance Lot. This kind of goes along with some of my thoughts about the U.S. not going to default on its debt, but they're going to make treasuries worthless, so everyone will be forced to dump them for dollars. Interesting theory here. Then they simply print, when there's a global dollar shortage, buy all of the worthless treasuries and take them out of circulation. Great reset. Now, remember when I said Fed's going to do quantitative tightening, and I said, who's going to buy this crap? Well, now we're seeing that they're buying it back, and the treasuries are going to be doing, the Treasury Department is set to do buybacks as well. So the Fed's going to be buying it back. The Fed's going to be printing it. The Treasury's buying it back. You can't even keep track of who's printing it, who's making it, all these different programs. We opened up Powell's Pandora's box over the last 2 years. But how do you pay back all these liabilities? We talk about the 30 trillion in debt. 33, that's nothing compared to the 120 plus trillion unfunded liabilities. Plus, how do you get folks to pile back in to dollars, right? And basically to cover what you've done here is you get them to sell U.S. treasuries, you buy them back, you print the dollars to go buy back those treasuries, and you're effectively able to wipe out the value of those treasuries and print more money to pay back these liabilities, right? To buy back your own debt that you issued, right? I mean, imagine that your own corporation, your own company, you get to just print more money to buy back your shares, right? Which, funny enough, that's what a lot of these high-flying companies were doing during the last 2 years, is they were doing share buybacks of their stock with all the, they got all this PPP money, they did all these programs while the company and the executives are buying back their stock. They ride this thing up, and then you've been seeing Nvidia's founder CEO, he just dumped a bunch. Apple CEO Tim Cook just dumped a bunch as well. We've been tracking all those movements, and they've been dumping all sorts of stocks. And this is what we're seeing. The U.S. is getting ready to reset this thing. I thought that Finance Lot put this together very well. The steps here, we get a credit downgrade, so nations dump U.S. treasuries. That's already beginning. I think you're about to see that with the municipal bonds as well, too. The cities and states within this country are bust. Some of them a lot worse. And then you're also going to see the credit downgrade for the corporate bonds as well. It's just like what you're seeing in China right now. See, China just had their Lehman moment. It's already happening with Country Garden, with Evergrande. They just had their Lehman moment, and 25% of their GDP is made up by real estate. So it's going to be brutal over there. The credit downgrade's already begun. That's coming back home here. Rapidly rising rates, and we'll see if we get another one. They already rug pulled us, though. Effectively, what Fed Chair Jerome Powell already did is he's making the pain much worse for the rest of the world, but it's going to squeeze out and sacrifice the middle class of America and the poor. Restrict swap lines causing dollar shortage. So we get a dollar shortage because of this. Stage an incident. Well, now we have a world war taking place. This was posted in August originally. Now we have a World War III Black Swan event, along with many other events on the horizon that we're looking at, false flags and others. Dollar skyrockets. Now, the DXY has rallied the last 3 months back above, I think, 105, 106, right? And the panic is spreading throughout the financial system. Absolutely. Worldwide panic is actually spreading. Systemic contagion within China right now. Nations collapsing already happening. Print trillions and buy your cheap debt. Now, that's what comes next. That's what comes next. That's going to be the Fed pivot. That's going to be the Treasury buyback, and that is coming, and that's what gives us our great reset. How do you pay back all these liabilities? How do you pay back these obligations? And how do you temporarily pop up the dollar while the facade falls away? Everyone's waking up. The countries around the world are dumping the U.S. dollars. This is the final hurrah. This is the final pump for the U.S. dollar system. Powell's final pump before he has to cut rates, before he has to turn back on the money printer. And that's going to change up everything. Now, we got some data yesterday to confirm what we've been talking about here. Retail sales rise on strong car sales and internet buying. U.S. economy not slowing much. This is the type of headlines that are so misleading, so dangerous. If you think that it's just happy, slappy, good old times, you're about to get absolutely cleaned out. The reason why, you got to look deeper. It's the same thing with all of these data points. The increase was spurred by strong demand at auto dealers, so people are paying more for cars. And what's happening right now? An auto strike. Oh, gee. In online stores, the government reported higher gasoline prices also played a role, however. You are not getting more for your dollar. You are paying more and you're getting less products and services and goods, for your dollar. That's what's happening. Retail sales are up. Who is that good for? That doesn't show us a sign of a strong economy. It shows that we're paying more for gas, which is energy, which we better strip that out of our core CPI, right? Let's go with the super core like Paul Krugman, and let's pretend that the Fed won their fight against inflation as we strip out housing, energy, shelter, and used car sales, which, once again, we've already seen what they've been trying to do here is spin this thing. Every data point that comes out that confirms we're in a recession, right? They try to spin in to make it good, whether it's the job numbers, good job numbers is folks getting their second and third job, right? Good retail sales. It's simply just people paying more for the same goods. Good GDP data, same thing. People are just paying more for the same or less. You guys understand the term shrinkflation. Not only are you paying way more, you're getting less volume, amount, goods, and services. Now, we also get some real estate data points coming out this week as well. Taking a look here. U.S. October home builder confidence drops to lowest level since January. So the builders are seeing it, and the builders are the leading indicator in the real estate asset class. You got to understand that. And by the way, I just dropped a real estate update yesterday. Hasn't been seen by many folks, and I think that it's not as exciting and as popular as the XRP content. But if you want the real estate update, a couple big changes to real estate investors. Being able to use ADUs, which is accessory dwelling units, as income for income verification for buying more properties, and then a change for buying 2 to 4 units through Fannie Mae. Now your down payment requirements have dropped from 25% to 5%. So a couple big changes for real estate investors. I covered it yesterday in the real estate update, but I was talking about how we get a lot of good data coming out this week. Home builders are the leading indicator, right? And they're doing lifetime rate buy downs. They're doing short-term rate buy downs. They're doing as many incentives as possible. And just like I said yesterday, I will reiterate it here again today. Go beat up those builders. If you're looking to get in, they're willing to work. They're willing to work. And, I say beat up the builders, but I'm just saying now's your time to go negotiate. We enter the fall, the winter. This is the final selling season here of the year. Little fall rush that always kind of picks up. And the folks that are willing to sell right now are desperate to sell, and they're going to be willing to work. So take a look at that. Now let's get on into the crypto update, folks. We see the House Financial Services Committee is going to be announcing or announced a hearing for Tuesday next week on October 24th. They're going to be examining the SEC's agenda, unintended consequences for U.S. capital markets and investors. No word on witnesses yet, so let's stay tuned, okay? That's good to see. But we have Gary Gensler responding here to some recent changes that they made on the transparency of short selling of equities. He says, in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis, which our Fed, a lot of these regulations created, the 2008 financial crisis, Congress directed the SEC to enhance the transparency of short selling of equity securities. Last week, the SEC adopted a rule to do just that. Read my statement. So they're just talking about more transparency. Now, the reason why I wanted to bring this up and the reason why I laugh is because if we had a framework for digital assets and we had clarity, all of these markets, equities, commodities, all of it could be trading on DLT technology that would be verifiable for everyone to see. We'd be able to see all the trades. There would be complete transparency. But meanwhile, Gary Gensler wants to, hold the whole entire space back. And we get David Schwarz coming in and absolutely calling out the SEC. This is what I love to see. This is what I live for right here. SEC, in response to the fake news that came out earlier this week, they'd put out this stupid tweet. Careful what you read on the internet. The best source of information about the SEC is the SEC. And David says, awesome. Does the SEC think people selling ETH on exchanges are selling securities? I'd like to hear from the best source. Now, our good friend Fred Rispoli, great lawyer here in the XRP community, great patriot, responds, right? He's already filed a couple lawsuits against the SEC. He was going to file one against Clayton. He did withdraw it. But he says, pursuant to the SEC's signed filings before a federal judge in our case in the Southern District of California, the SEC represented that it has not made a decision one way or another as to this exact equation. So Fred Rispoli backing up David Schwarz, absolutely calling out the hypocrisy and the corruption from the SEC. Furthermore, like I said, our good friend Steven Arioff, late night, he was still putting it out, still calling him out, and he's responding to Mr. Huber right here. Lubin had to sign a form that he was telling the truth to Hinman. I am pretty sure Lubin didn't tell Hinman that he disguised all major investors in Ethereum, so no one is scared. We have this on video. Now, Steven Arioff shares this article right here, Crowdfund Insider. Quote, I helped structure the Ethereum token sale, did the bulk of the legal work interfacing with the lawyers. And this is a quote from Joseph Lubin. So if he violated the token sale terms legally, that would be bad, right? Steven asks. Glad I was just getting coffee for this genius. And he tags John Deaton and the gang, Brad Kimes and others. And we absolutely love to see it, Steven, over the target. And this is what we've been covering. You got this guy. He was so cocky with it. And he says, Lubin told the street that Ethereum token sales are, quote, a way of accessing a shared compute resource, so I'm not sure Ether needs to be regulated in any way. Well, we're not talking about the regulation of Ether, the token necessarily, so much as the funds that were raised in the ICO. It's just like the difference between what we've seen in this Ripple case. Ripple didn't do an ICO, but they did sell some XRP to institutions. Judge Torres ruled that some of those sales did constitute an investment contract, hit all prongs of the Howey test, and it was an unregistered securities offering. And if that was an unregistered security offering, then what do you think you guys committed over there at Ethereum? And this is what I had tweeted out last night, because Truth Labs' Boring Sleuth had come in, and he was working late night too. And he put out this tweet about this country that I won't name, but he's talking about that country's first public blockchain, founded in 2014. Its history has mostly been erased from all sites that wrote about it. A challenge I accept. And this is the work. And he ties it back to Ant Financial, NEO, In Blockchain's founder, and Wang Sheng, and many more. And we got the sleuths on it. And I retweeted and I said, Steven Arioff's still up and Truth Labs still putting in work. I wonder if Congress is ready to get to work. Why haven't we subpoenaed Chair Gensler yet? I'll be recording another video for my community highlighting this corruption. And this is important right here. This is so important. By the way, settlement with Ripple won't shut us up. This is bigger than just the XRP legal battle. There's no reason why America can't have the gold standard capital market that includes a regulatory framework for digital assets. So just like when Gary Gensler testified at Congress and he said that the U.S. had the gold standard of capital markets, and we're like the gold medalists, but even gold medalists still need to train. It was just such a stupid, silly metaphor that Gary had to share with us. But yeah, of course we still need to train. We still need to work. Where is Congress at subpoenaing your butt, getting you in here to actually answer the questions that you have? And it's time to bring forward a regulatory framework, and it's time to actually answer to the American people and make sure that we continue to have the gold standard and the healthiest capital markets in the world. We are missing an opportunity. It's a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity at hand here of capital that could be raised, capital and investments that could be made here in the United States that is going outside of the U.S. I mean, a bunch of jobs too, thousands of jobs outside the U.S. because of your actions. And oh, by the way, like I said, when you settle up with Ripple, that ain't going to shut us up. We will appreciate that, and we will appreciate where XRP is going to go price action wise. XRP community is going to be doing fine. The damages are still massive. The damages are probably still worth going after, but nonetheless, we just want a level playing field, and that's why we're not going to shut up until we get that level playing field. Not only is XRP winning against you guys in court, the facts and circumstances around XRP, but Ripple, the company's defeating you in court, along with many others too. As we still wait for the Bitcoin spot ETFs, which we haven't gotten any announcement on those yet, so they're still slacking when it comes to just trading a spot ETF. One of the most simple things. It's ridiculous, right? But with that being said, I want to bring this back here. We're going to share a video here, a quick clip from Bitso sharing their experience using Ripple's on-demand liquidity. Now, this is Barbara Brisario. Is that how I say this? Briseno. Barbara Briseno from Bitso, head of finance. And we're going to play a clip here, and she calls XRP a game changer, and she says that she is the biggest fan of on-demand liquidity. Let's take a listen in here, folks.
And using ODL for me as a customer has been game changer. And it's once you test it, I always say that I'm the biggest fan of ODL because nobody's telling me these stories. Like, I've done that myself and I've been benefited from it. You see the two screens and you see how money travels so fast, and then within the minute you have the money that you want to transfer, that you were used to transferring in a week-long process, and now it costs you cents on the dollar, and it's so immediate. So from a customer perspective, it has been a wonderful experience. And for us, the partnership with Ripple, from the business perspective, is just so important and is such a key part of our business today. And we are truly thinking of expanding together into the region. And
that's what we love to hear right there, folks. So she's head of finance at Bitso. This has been one of the partners. They've been working for a while. Bitso is the largest Mexican crypto exchange, and that was established in 2014 with the purpose to provide financial services for both banked and unbanked with blockchain technology and digital assets. So important. And that corridor between the US and Mexico is so massive. Now we're going to get the updated tally here. This is from Ripple's Kairit Bhatia, and he's talking about Ripple growing continuously. And he says that they did 20 billion of settlements this year so far, or they're set to do about 20 billion worth of settlements so far this year. Let's listen in real quick on this one.
Around cost, transparency, speed. Around cost, transparency, speed. We've done that really, really well, and over the last few years have scaled across 40 countries, hundreds of customers across countries, and this year we'll process close to 20 billion in value, which is tremendous. We continue to do that, right? Our focus is to build solutions that solve problems, whether it's crypto liquidity, helping central banks launch CBDCs, tokenizing carbon credits so that market can operate efficiently, or indeed this year, focus on tokenizing other real-world financial assets and solve the frictions that exist in those industries around cost.
When it comes to moving value, they're getting it done, and they're going to source the best liquidity from the XRP ledger. And actually, I just saw a huge shout to Vet. He's actually going to be having David Schwarz and a couple other developers from Ripple are going to be joining him for basically an AMA on a Twitter space here. I think that's coming up on the 20th in 2 days. And so I'm really excited to tune into that. We'll see if we get the AMMs here soon. We are starting to get a few more votes on the ledger for that, a few more validators voting yes for the AMM amendment. But it's very simple, guys. The best liquidity is going to be built out on the XRP ledger, in my opinion. And Ripple's using it to tap in and service these clients with a competitive advantage. And XRP being the game changer. It's not just blockchain technology, it's the XRP ledger. And we're doing this without the AMM. So with the AMM, that's the final ingredient to the secret sauce. It only gets better. So folks, remember, as I've been covering here, a full update, this one went a little bit long, really packed with a lot of good information. If you appreciate this one, please make sure that we smash the thumbs up and that you guys share this out far and wide. Get your friends, get your families tapped in with you. And hopefully we can protect it, we can understand it, but then we can also make moves to take advantage of this opportunity. It's absolutely massive. We can see what's getting built out. And 20 billion in settlement of payments this year, we compare that to the 30 billion that they've done basically since about 2019, 2020 when RippleNet got started. RippleNet had done about 30 billion in settlement so far, is what they told us at the end of 2022. Now through this year, we're on pace to settle about 20 billion this year through Ripple payments. Now, not all of that's going to be on on-demand liquidity using XRP, but we saw that they did over 10 billion in ODL last year. So if they're on track to do 20 billion in settlements total this year, and they did about 10 billion last year in ODL, if they do something similar to that, that's going to be well over 50%. And from the most recent reports that we got from Brad Garlinghouse, the numbers are over 50% of payments are now going through on-demand liquidity. And these are being done through partnerships with centralized exchanges. When we get the AMM, the automated market maker, you won't need to go to these exchanges, and even Ripple will be able to tap in and source those liquidity pairs, those liquidity pools for their on-demand liquidity needs. They won't have to go through the centralized exchanges anymore. So that's going to even give them more of a competitive advantage and even more of a game changer when we look at solving real problems valued in the trillions of dollars. And like he was talking about, real world tokenization of real world assets on the agenda as well. And we got the Ripple Swell conference coming up here in November as well. It's going to be absolutely massive, folks. So let's stay tuned in. Make sure you guys share this one out far and wide. If you want to get in touch with me, that's on my website, zachrector.com. And I will see you guys in the next one. God bless you all. Thank you so much.